Welcome back to First Sound at Inside the Pylon. My name is Mark Schofield, one of the writers of the website, and today I'm taking a look at USC quarterback Cody Kessler making some progression reads on a play from last season against the Colorado Buffaloes. I'm going to look at how he works through the progression reads on this play, but I'm also going to talk a bit about the idea of flow within structure. And this is an idea that I have to give a tremendous amount of credit to the great Matt Waldman for. Matt does great work, which I would strongly recommend that you check out. And one of the things that Matt does at his website, mattwaldmanrsp.com, is his Boiler Room series, where he takes a play or a few plays from a player's tape and breaks them down for you and shows you the things that he sees as he goes through that play or plays. He had a recent episode of his Boiler Room series on Mr. Kessler, and he took a look at the quarterback executing a running back screenplay against Stanford from this season. And he talked about the little adjustments that Kessler had to make to keep the play on track. And when I saw that, I thought it was a great way to describe what Matt was seeing. And when I was doing my own work on Kessler and saw this play, I thought it was another good example of it, and I wanted to give you my own sort of spin on it. Now take a moment to imagine with me, if you will. You're sitting perhaps in your dorm room on a Friday night, or maybe on Friday night you're out to dinner with your friends or some family members that have come into town for the game the next day. You're kind of listening to the conversation, but in your mind you're running through what you expect to see Saturday afternoon on the field. You've had a great week of practice. You've got your game plan committed to memory. The scout team defense has showed you great looks all throughout the week on what your opponent likes to do on defense. And in your head you've got a version of the script, the game plan, the plays that you're going to be running, and you've got a vision for how each play will play out the next day. But what the 3s and the 4s on your scout team showed you on Wednesday is going to be a lot different than what the starting defense is going to show you Saturday afternoon. The defensive ends might be a little quicker. The defensive tackles might be better at shutting off blocks. The linebackers might be quicker to react than you expect. That secondary might have tighter coverage in the secondary. They might be able to roll coverage a lot more crisper than you saw on Wednesday afternoon. Saturday is going to look a lot different than Wednesday. But the ability of a quarterback to improvise, to react to those differences from week to week, and still execute the structure of a play despite those variations, is tantamount to a quarterback's success. Football is loosely organized chaos. Calm adjustments in the middle of the cauldron are required, especially from a quarterback. Sometimes that is the difference between making plays and creating them. Let's look at this play now. As you can see, Kessler is in the shotgun. USC has 11 offensive personnel on the field. They have a tight end and a wing to the right with a receiver split outside, and an inverted slot to the left. They face a 1st and 10 early in the game on the Colorado 16-yard line, and the football is on the right hash mark. Colorado has their 4-2-5 nickel defense on the field, and they have the nickel back shaded a bit towards the slot receiver here. He's about 2/3 of the way towards the slot receiver from the left tackle. The secondary shows a cover 4 look. You've got the cornerbacks here, and both of them are in off-man alignment. And then you have the safeties. There's one safety there, and here's the other. And again, both of them are in off-man alignment, and this is a clear indication to Kessler, at least before the snap, that the defense will run cover 4. Now, the play art is here as well, and this is a sort of variant of the Y-cross concept that I've talked about previously, such as with Jared Goff. You can see at the top of the screen, the single receiver, he'll run a straight vertical route up here, and then the slot receiver, who's the primary receiver, runs that crossing route with this receiver running the quick curl on the backside. Kessler's progression reads will be from right to left. He'll take a look at that vertical route on the right first, see if he can make a play in the passing game. And if not, his primary receiver is this crossing route. If that's not open, then he'll come down here to the hitch. Now we'll run through this a bit in half speed, and I'll talk you through the play and what I'm seeing. Kessler takes the snap, and as we'd expect, the first thing he does is open to the right, and he checks that vertical route to his right to see if he can make a big play. But with the cornerback playing this cover 4 scheme, he's got a big cushion. And with the ball in the red zone, it's going to be tough for Kessler to make a play in the vertical passing game to that route. So Kessler does the smart thing, and he comes off of it and works to the backside. Here he checks and he's looking at these two receivers here and picking up the underneath coverage. Kessler sees not only the nickelback who's coming out towards the hitch route, but he also knows that he's got two more safeties here and here that are off the screen to contend with. So as he looks at this, he sees again that coverage isn't there. So what does he do? He comes back to this vertical route here. And there's Kessler looking to the outside. But again, that cornerback was an off-man coverage. He's given that route a big cushion, so this route is still not there. Kessler has now looked at all three receiving options on this play. And as you can see, the protection, while it's solid, it's starting to break down a bit. So he begins to climb the pocket. And as he climbs, he's keeping his eyes downfield. He's got his field of vision still downfield. He's looking at that crossing route, which is coming over. It's come over this way now. He's got that vertical route as well. So Kessler's eyes are downfield. He still wants to make a play, flow within structure. This is probably not what he saw on Wednesday. He probably saw things a lot differently Wednesday afternoon. But the play started to adjust, and he has to adjust as well. How he adjusts will determine the success or failure on this given play. So as he climbs the pocket, he keeps those eyes downfield, and at the last minute, he spots that receiver on the vertical route. This is a bit of a scramble drill situation. Flow within structure. He's still within the structure and design of the play, but he's kept his options open by keeping his eyes downfield. And he spots that receiver who's run the vertical route, breaking back to him. So at the last minute, with those eyes trained downfield, he picks it up and releases. And the receiver catches it for a touchdown. Let's take another look back at this just quickly. Again, coming through this, he'll take the snap, opens to the right, that's not there. Comes here, those routes aren't there. Comes back, not there. Climbs, spots, eyes downfield, and fires. 6 points for the Trojans. This is a great example of what Kessler can do when you talk about that idea of flow within structure. Calm in the cauldron. He keeps his eyes downfield even though the play starts to look wildly different than what he expected. He was expecting one of those routes to come open, but the coverage and the flow of the play and eventually the edge pressure, things start to break down. But he doesn't panic. He climbs the pocket, keeps his eyes trained downfield, and spots a receiver for a big play in the passing game. This is a great example of what Kessler can do, functioning from within the pocket and keeping plays alive and making plays in the pass game. This was identified by the great Matt Waldman. I'd invite you to check out the work that he's done on Kessler and all the other skilled players that he looks at. And I'd also invite you to take a look at InsideThePylon.com, particularly our glossary, where we identify concepts such as those discussed in this episode of First Sound, such as Cover 4, and other concepts that we've identified for you. I'd invite you to take a look at those in the articles we have on InsideThePylon.com. Thank you,